Hi everybody, it's Andy from Snow Camps Europe, and I'm back again with Paul from the Ski Instructor Academy here in Kaprun, Austria. And this podcast is, why are some ski teachers not worth the money?
Yeah, harsh, criticising your own profession. Well, I don't think it's that. I think, look, we need to put in perspective as to what are you buying into. You know, some people are buying into professional coaching. You know, they want the technical side, they want the mechanics, etc. And other people are buying a ski instructor who's going to ski with a 10-year-old kid or whatever. So somebody can be a fantastic instructor who doesn't really understand, let's say, the mechanics of the sport, but they're fantastic with kids. They're great playing around. They can, they understand the basic fundamentals, so they can help somebody improve. But that same fantastic instructor would be a complete waste of money for, let's say, somebody who's in their 40s, is a doctor, and is looking really for more input about feelings, about how the body moves, for example.
Yeah, I think there's an element, and so you've two examples there of what do you want from your ski instructor, then go and pay for that ski instructor. And
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because the ski school does not do that.
No. And I was just about to say this. And this is my advice when booking a ski teacher, let's say, is you don't walk into a ski school and say, hi, I'd like a week of private lessons, because they'll go, okay, they'll look at a list and they'll say, give them this person. You want to go in and you want to, or before you go in, do some research at home. Kaprun as an example, Paul, if people are coming to Kaprun, there's enough online for them to make an educated decision on who they're going to come and ski with, because there are teachers in Kaprun that are more active on social media, let's say, and you will be able to see whether or not you want to ski with them people. So you'll be able to see if you want to ski with me. You would be able to see if they want to ski with Paul or Jamie or several other people. So try and find out about ski teachers before you get to resort.
In the resort you're going.
Yeah,
because the ski school does do exactly that. They're generally very poor at the logistics of understanding what somebody's booking. And also clients are often very not the cleverest. Like, I can remember somebody actually rejected me as their instructor because I didn't speak Dutch, for example, even though they spoke very good English, and took a Dutch guy who was just one of my students who had just literally qualified, and ended up really with a terrible private lesson for 3 days because this guy wasn't really going to be able to tell him anything. But to them, their goal was to get a Dutch guy. That was it. I got to have a Dutch guy, even though I can speak English. No, it's got to be Dutch. And okay, fine. The ski school will then give them that. Now, I wouldn't do that. I would be mapping and matching the guy to that person. Is this a 10-year-old kid, or is this a 50-year-old guy who's a businessman, a lawyer, or whatever he is? Okay, who's going to suit that character more is going to be really important. And that's what ski schools do terrible. I mean, they just, nowhere in the world can they seem to get this right and match it, because the secretary generally isn't interested.
But no, and unfortunately, a lot of the ski school owners are just interested in taking the money and putting it into the till, which is a controversial thing to say, but it's true. And I think this is where the industry needs to change. There are ski schools that do it.
There are some very good ski schools.
Most of them don't. Obviously, when you select your coaches for the courses, you're selecting people for particular reasons. We say at Snow Camps that we will give you the right teacher, and I'll speak to people and I'll ask you questions on what you want from your teacher, and then I'll go and get it. So if you want a teacher that's going to ski you around from hut to hut, then take you to après ski,
Andy's your man.
I'll find you that person. If you want somebody that is from a sports science background, and is going to talk to you in technical speak, then you go and ski with Paul. But yeah, don't just walk into a ski school and ask for a ski teacher, because you will potentially get, and there's nothing wrong with 19-year-olds, a 19-year-old newly qualified ski teacher who may be a good skier, but might not have any experience in teaching. Now, again, this is where the industry is slightly flawed, because that teacher needs to get his experience somehow, and that typically is with kids, which isn't always the best. And I think the Canadian system, I think I'm right in saying they quite often do a lot of shadowing hours.
Yeah, well, a lot of places. I mean, it's funny enough, Andy, it's probably going to be more prevalent here in Austria as well, where Brexit's affected a lot of UK people, and they might have to do more shadowing hours to develop their skills so they can do more courses, because legally they might not be able to work. Yep. We'll tackle that in the future. But yeah, Andy's right that like anything, when you're learning, you need to learn. So you're almost getting paid to learn, and you make mistakes, and hopefully, as I make mistakes in my life with different jobs, you improve and you get better, and that's very important. But do you want to be paying that guy? You've got to decide on, hang on, I already want the experienced guy. I'm not paying somebody to improve.
I think if you're parting with 250, 300 euros, let's say, for a day's private, if you request a level 3 or above teacher, you're probably going to get someone with a little bit more experience, if not a lot more experience. Where if you just ask for a ski teacher, you're going to get whoever's available off the list.
What would you say in an advert level 1, 2 in a ski school? How much proportion, percentagely, do you think are that sort of
70%, 75%?
Yeah, we always say 80% probably level 1, 2.
Yeah.
And only that small minority are actually experienced.
Yeah, one of the ski schools I've worked for, I think we only had 2 level 4 ski teachers, 1 level 4 snowboard teacher. And then, 70-80% were level 1
and don't get me wrong, as Andy said before on previous podcasts, and we've talked about this offline, you might, even Ski Instructor Academy, okay, we tend to only have Staatliche and level 3, but we might have an anwärter sometimes because they've got life experience. You know, they might be 50 plus, great life experience, great communicator with coach. People, great coach, but because wrongly ski instructor examinations tend to favor how good can somebody ski, and you know, if you start adding in high-end moguls, race skiing as people get to level 3, some 50-year-olds are just not going to be to do that. But their motivation, their drive and passion teaching beginner levels is phenomenal, better than any level 4, and therefore that person could still be the right ski teacher. So maybe it is sometimes a combination of asking for somebody who is a little bit more mature, perhaps for you.
Yep, and maturity, experience. There are several level 1 ski teachers in Capron, and I'm sure everywhere else, that have been doing it all of their life. They just didn't have an aspiration to do their level 2 or 3. Yeah. You know, they're happy with the level 1 because, to be honest, the higher you go up the levels, the pay doesn't really change that much. So why put yourself through the courses if you don't need to?
And especially because a lot of the courses, and we'll come on to this in future topics, they're not that educational. They don't actually help you that much to develop your understanding sometimes of skiing. And it's stuff you can nowadays, this is the problem, of course, you can get hold of probably far more information online.
Yeah, for sure the courses don't go into a great detail about teaching. It's skiing. It's not about teaching.
Which is why I've always favoured the Canadian Basie style, for example, because they did pay more attention to teaching. I mean, still not a great deal, but more than other associations, in fairness, that I've worked with. So there are some benefits to that. But when you're looking for the right guy and making sure you're not wasting your money, it's difficult. I mean, group lessons, how many people have been in a group lesson, for example, and that groups went from, 12 adults to 3 by the end of the week.
Yeah, you have to ask yourself why.
And why is it another group seems to be expanding? Like one of our trainers, when he used to work in a standard ski school, Jamie, I would watch his group go from 8 and it would end up with like 16, like completely illegal. But everybody had like boycotted the mutant from another skis trainer, and it's ended up in the same group because the guy had passion, he had drive, he had crack, he had conversation. And it's not just skiing we're talking about that, the crack, they bring the group together.
The whole package, let's say.
Yeah. It's much easier teaching a private than a group. Absolutely,
it takes a lot more skill from the teacher to bring that group together. Keep them all moving on whilst addressing their individual needs. And again,
Yeah.
You can have a bad experience in a group lesson if the teacher isn't able to do these things. If he gives every single person the same solution to one person's problem, rather than identifying each different person's needs and addressing them individually in a group scenario, bringing everyone with him. What's interesting in America is they do a stepped pricing system. So if you want to pay for a level 1, it's this price. If you want to pay for a level 2, it's this price. If you want to pay for level 3, it's this price. And in a way, that's a little bit more transparent than walking in saying, can I have a ski teacher? And you just get whoever's on the list.
Yeah. I mean, equally, the problem is you will have people who have done this all their life and they're crap. Like literally, I remember one guy coming off the hill and I was double booked and he said, I said, oh, how did you get on with such and such? He said, that's 2 hours I'm never going to get back in my life. What a waste of effing money.
Yeah.
You know,
I think some of them lack a lot of motivation.
To them it's a job.
Yeah, they turn up at 9 o'clock, they do the 2 hours, they go home, and they put nothing else into it. And again, that can be the highest qualified person.
And experienced, you know, you're talking about, you know, often local people who've grown up in skiing, but to them it's underneath them almost. It's like they don't have the same understanding of how difficult it can be for somebody, let's say, coming from Holland or from England, who's never been on mountains and snow. They just don't understand that. Why can't you do that? Why can't you just stand on the outside ski or whatever it is, you know? They don't get it.
Yeah, they expect everyone to be able to ski straight away. I think the other thing as well is a ski teacher isn't just there to teach you to ski. A ski teacher is also he's a tour guide, they're information, they're the comedian.
They're maximising your holiday. They're maximising the time on your holiday because they know what to avoid. They know where to go. They know which way to turn, when to turn, and it's which hut to go to or whatever it is, you know. And look, Cap Run, for example, Andy, is one of the, you know, comes very low in the scale of repeat clientele. Like a lot of people who come to Cap Run will then go once, for example, and now they're going to go to your Saint Antons or your Verbiers or your wherever else. It's not a real return business place. Yet, good instructors, you know, and I did it when I used to teach, you know, I built my client base here who came back 10 years in a row, year after year after year. They'd come once, twice, 3 times for a holiday because they'd found a coach that understood them and they weren't going to let that go. It didn't matter about the result.
And when I came to Gabron, the first thing I did when I came to Gabron was I actually met you in Intersport, as you'll remember, and then I worked in the same ski school as you, and I watched you and Jamie with your repeat clients, and I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to build a client base. And I now have Christmas week, it's the same people every year. New Year week, it's the same people. February half term is the same people, and then that's. Do
you hold a gun to them? You will come on this ski holiday.
Pay for the lift pass. But that's how snow camps came about. Was I now needed to find more teachers that I could trust to take more clients, because I can only teach a certain number of people in a week. As you found as well, as a one-person ski instructor business, let's say, working within a ski school, you top out because there's only 5 days a week.
And of course, in a ski school, though, you start getting worried that if you rely on the ski school to then book that person that you feel passionately about making sure they've got the best product, you end up getting cheated because they'll do you over at the last second and stick on
somebody else.
Somebody who you don't want actually with that person. And you're not doing it because you're being evil to that other person saying he's crap or she's crap. You're doing it because you know the client and you know what the client's after. And as we've said from the start, you've got to identify, this guy who's fantastic with kids and, I don't know, teenagers going through the park and all this sort of stuff. But he'd be absolutely terrible if he got stuck with a couple in their 40s or 50s. It would just fall apart. Why put them in that position, both of them? Why put the instructor in that position and why put the guest in that position? It's wrong. And this is just to do with how busy it gets, who's available, who they want to lay off, who they want to keep on. And that's why, again, I suppose, we started off because we could identify very quickly there are some major weaknesses. And certainly within the industries, France, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, those traditional alpine ski regions, a lot of the ski schools have just been passed from person to person, year after, decade after decade. And it's almost like to them, you should be privileged. you're coming into my ski school for me to tell you how to teach. And the days of 20 people being on a meeting point trying to do a parallel turn with one instructor, they're gone. People want service because they're used to that service. And this is one thing we said, Andy, when we did a podcast when I was doing one with Jamie, and I said to him, Europe or America, for example, or Canada.
Yes.
And I said a couple of times, they know how the service industry works, though, in Canada, for example. You know, it's a different feel. Even in South America, I said, when you're in Argentina, it's ridiculous. You're talking like almost third world, but they stand there at the bottom with a little chocolate. And do you want a drink of orange? Yeah. Oh, and then when you get off the lift, you know what they say? Hi, how are you? Hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, it's like, oh, what's this? This is how it should be.
I was very fortunate. I had a friend who lived in Snowmass, so I got to go and ski Snowmass and Aspen.
Where's Snowmass and Aspen?
Yeah, Aspen Snowmass. I got to ski there very, very cheaply because I had a place to stay, and I could not believe it. As you've just said, you get to the bottom of Aspen Mountain, there's a guy there with a coffee cart. Yeah. Would you like a coffee and a cookie in the lift? And it's free. Now, okay, free. It's in your lift pass. And this is when people say American lift passes are expensive. What you get is a greater amount because I've now got a coffee and a cookie every day of my ski holiday. I'm in the lift. I get to the top. There's a guy stood there.
And he's easily pleased.
There's a guy stood there and he says, hey guys, where are you skiing today? Oh, I don't know. We just got to go down there. No. These are the trails that have been groomed. These are the trails that haven't been groomed. What do you want to ski? And then you tell him, he says, okay, I'll take you there. Yeah. And they're ski hosts, which...
It's weird, isn't it? It's strange.
And you're like, what? And then you'll then get to another lift and the guys that have a barbecue going and it's just insane. Entirely different. And I think, unfortunately, as you've said, the ski schools, a lot of ski schools, have been handed down from father to son to daughter. And they're basically, they always do what they've always done. And therefore you always get what you always got, which isn't service.
Yeah, which wasn't service here, and it isn't now either. And people are far more aware of service as well. It's getting to the point, you know, people don't just expect it; they will demand it, you know. And they often say, you know, oh, this nation, I don't know, they'll criticize the Germans, say, oh, they always complain, you know, you got to be 100% behind it and all this sort of stuff. You got to be on it, and they might put a lot of effort actually here, Andy, into looking after, let's say, German clients. But what they don't get is the Dutch or the English, who maybe don't complain to the face as much, are equally complaining in the background, just like everybody else. They expect as well. Everybody does. Who the hell wants to pay 200 euros a day and then get crap?
Yeah.
It's
you
just feel cheated.
Yeah.
So are ski instructors a waste of money? No. Is it necessary that somebody be 19, 90, 60? It doesn't matter what age they are. You really have to carefully choose your ski instructor and meet him and see, is this the guy? No, I would say probably on your first ride up the lift with that guy, you're going to decide whether the guy's right or not.
You're probably going to know whether or not you've got a good one because they're going to be asking you questions. They're going to be asking about your ski history, where you learn, what are your goals for the lesson? What would you like? Why are you taking a lesson? They're going to have an interest in you. If they get on the chairlift behind you,
and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah. Do you think they're interested in the next 2 hours? Yeah. They're just interested in getting to lunch.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I hope we've helped you again. Anything to add, Andy?
No, I think
we're about done.
We'll see you on the next one.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye for now.